Tom lived in a small apartment on the edge of a busy city. Every morning, he woke up before the sun, got dressed in his worn-out shirt and jeans, and left for his job at a small diner. The diner was not a fancy place, just a little spot where people could grab a quick meal. Tom worked as a cook, flipping eggs, making sandwiches, and cleaning tables. It was hard work and the pay was low. But Tom kept going because he had a dream. That dream was simple. He wanted a car. Not a new shiny car, but any car that he could call his own. To Tom, a car was more than just a machine. It was freedom, a way to escape his small world, to travel and to find a better life. But with his small salary, that dream seemed impossible. Every month, Tom saved a little money, but it was never enough. The city was noisy, crowded, and often unforgiving. Tom watched expensive cars zoom by, their owners talking on phones or smiling with friends. He felt invisible among them. Sometimes he wondered if his life would always be like this, working hard but going nowhere. Still, he held on to hope. One evening, after a long day at the diner, Tom walked home in the cold rain. He wrapped his thin jacket tighter around himself. The streets were empty, except for the sound of water dripping from the roofs and his own footsteps. Suddenly, something caught his eye. Parked by the sidewalk was an old car. It was covered in dirt, with broken windows and rust all over its body. It looked like no one had touched it for years. The car was a classic model, once beautiful and strong. Now it was forgotten. Tom stopped and looked at the car for a long time. He felt a strange connection to it. Like him, the car was broken and left behind. But beneath the dirt and rust, there was still something valuable. He imagined the car shining again, driving down the road like it once did. That vision made his heart ache. Tom sat down on the wet sidewalk and stared at the car. He thought about his life, how hard he worked but still had nothing to show for it. The car reminded him of his own dreams buried under the weight of daily struggles. Days passed, but Tom couldn't forget the old car. Every time he passed by it, he stopped and looked, hoping to see some sign that it might come back to life. He even started thinking about how he could fix it, though he knew he didn't have the money or skills. One morning, Tom decided to try. He bought a small toolbox from a second-hand store with the little money he had saved. He went to the car and carefully opened the hood. Inside, he saw wires, metal parts, and dirt. It was confusing, but he felt excited. This was the first step towards something new. Every day after work, Tom spent time near the car. He cleaned the windows, wiped the dust, and tried to understand the engine. Sometimes he looked at old books and videos about cars on his phone. It was hard, and he made many mistakes. The engine wouldn't start, the tires were flat, and some parts were missing. But Tom didn't give up. One afternoon, a neighbor saw Tom working on the car. Her name was Susan, a kind woman who lived in the building nearby. She brought Tom a cup of tea and smiled. "You're working hard," she said. "That car looks like a big job." Tom smiled back, thankful for the kindness. "I know, but I want to make it run again. It's important to me." Susan nodded. "I can see that. It's good to have something to believe in." Her words made Tom feel stronger. Sometimes the world felt cold and lonely, but small acts of kindness kept him going. Weeks turned into months. The car still wasn't perfect, but Tom was proud of every little improvement. He had changed the tires, cleaned the engine parts, and fixed the seats with old cloth. The car looked better, and Tom felt a new kind of hope growing inside him. But Tom's life was not easy. The diner was struggling and his hours were cut. Some days he couldn't even afford to buy food. The car was still far from running, and the dream seemed to fade with each problem. One night, feeling tired and sad, Tom sat by the car and whispered, "I don't know if I can do this." The rain started again, but Tom didn't move. He touched the cold metal and thought about giving up. Then a voice inside him said, "Keep going. Don't lose hope." That voice was small but strong. Tom wiped his tears and made a silent promise to himself. He would find a way. The car and the dream were not impossible. Tom's days continued to blend into each other. Early mornings, long hours at the diner, and evenings spent trying to fix the old car. Even though life was difficult, he felt something new growing inside him. Hope. The broken car, once forgotten, had become a symbol of his own chance to change his future. One chilly morning, as Tom was wiping down the dusty windows of the car, a car pulled slowly past the street. It was clean, shiny, and very expensive. The driver was a woman wearing a bright coat and smiling as she looked around. The car stopped near Tom. and the woman stepped out, her boots clicking on the pavement. Her name was Mary. Mary lived in a large house at the top of a hill, where the city looked small and quiet. She was known for her kind heart and her love of old things, old books, old music, and especially old cars. Today she was out walking, enjoying the fresh air and the quiet streets. When Mary saw Tom working on the old car, she stopped and watched quietly. After a moment, she spoke. "That's a beautiful car," she said gently. Tom looked up, surprised. He wasn't used to strangers talking to him, especially about the car. "It's not beautiful," Tom said with a sad smile. "It's broken. It's old. Probably no one wants it." Mary shook her head. "Sometimes the most beautiful things are the ones that need a little love and care." Tom blinked, feeling a little embarrassed. "I'm trying to fix it, but it's hard. I don't have much money or tools. I don't know if I can do it," Mary smiled warmly. "Maybe I can help." Tom looked at her, unsure. "Why would you want to help me? You don't even know me." Mary laughed softly. "Sometimes people just need a chance, and I believe in giving chances." From that day, Mary began to visit Tom regularly. She brought him better tools, new parts for the car, and sometimes sandwiches to eat. At first, Tom felt shy about accepting her help. But Mary's kindness was genuine, and soon he looked forward to her visits. As they worked together, Tom learned more about cars than he ever thought possible. Mary was patient and explained everything simply. She told stories about the history of the old car, how it was once a symbol of freedom and adventure. One afternoon, while they were fixing the engine, Tom asked, "Why do you care about this old car?" "You have so many things," Mary smiled. "Because I know what it feels like to be forgotten. This car, like many people, just needs someone to believe in it." Tom looked at her, feeling a warmth in his heart. Mary was different from anyone he had ever met. She didn't judge him or look down on him. She saw him and his dreams. They talked about life, hopes, and fears. Tom shared his story, how he had lost his parents when he was young, how he worked hard but felt stuck. Mary listened carefully, never interrupting or judging. In return, Mary told Tom about her life. She had grown up with money but had always felt a need to help others. She believed that kindness could change the world, one small act at a time. Their friendship grew slowly, built on trust and respect. The old car became a bridge between two very different lives. For Tom, it was a symbol of hope. For Mary, it was a chance to make a difference. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky orange and pink, Mary said something that surprised Tom. "I want to do more than just help you fix the car. I want to help you find your path." Tom looked at her, confused. "My path? What do you mean?" Mary's eyes were bright. "You have talent, Tom. You know cars. You're kind and hardworking. I think you could have a future beyond the diner and the small apartment." Tom laughed nervously. "I don't know. It feels like a dream too big for me." Mary reached out and put her hand on his shoulder. "Sometimes the biggest dreams are the most important ones." "And you're not alone." Tom felt a wave of emotion. For the first time in a long time, he believed someone truly cared about his future. Mary's words gave him strength. Days turned into weeks. Tom worked harder, and the car began to look less like a broken machine and more like a real car again. The engine started making sounds that gave Tom hope. It was alive. Mary and Tom celebrated each small victory, whether it was fixing a broken part or cleaning a tire. Their bond grew stronger, and with it, Tom's belief in himself. One rainy day, Tom was working under the car when Mary arrived with a surprise. She handed him a small envelope. "This is for you," she said softly. Tom opened it carefully. Inside was enough money to buy the parts they needed to finish fixing the car. "Why would you give me this?" Tom asked, his voice full of wonder. "Because I believe in you," Mary said simply, "and sometimes all it takes is a little help." Tears filled Tom's eyes. He looked at Mary and realized that his life was beginning to change. Not because of money or luck, but because someone had chosen to believe in him. That night, Tom sat by the car and thought about the journey so far. The car was no longer just an old machine, it was a symbol of hope, kindness, and new beginnings. He felt ready to face whatever came next. The impossible was starting to seem possible. The days after Mary gave Tom the money for the car parts were filled with hope and hard work. Tom felt like the weight on his shoulders had lifted, even if just a little. He had a chance, a real chance, to fix the car and maybe fix his life too. He wasn't alone anymore. Early every morning, Tom woke up and rushed to the old car waiting on the street. With Mary's tools and parts, the work went faster than before. He cleaned every piece carefully, replaced broken parts, and learned more about the engine than he ever thought possible. Sometimes, when a part didn't fit or the engine still wouldn't start, Tom would feel frustrated. But Mary was always there with a smile and words of encouragement. "Patience, Tom. Every good thing takes time," she said one afternoon as they worked side by side. Tom looked at her and smiled back. Mary's kindness was like a light in the dark. Before she came, life had felt cold and lonely. Now it felt warm, full of possibility. One day, as Tom was fixing the brakes, a man walked by and stopped to watch. He was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes. "That's a fine project you're working on," the man said. Tom wiped sweat from his forehead and nodded. "Thank you. I'm trying to fix it," the man smiled. "I'm Joe. I used to work in a garage downtown. If you ever need advice or help, come see me." Tom's heart lifted. "I'd like that." "Thank you." Joe became another small light in Tom's life. Sometimes Tom visited Joe's garage after work, learning new things about cars and tools. Joe never charged him a penny and always treated Tom with respect. With Joe and Mary's support, Tom's skills grew. The car was no longer just a dream. It was becoming real. But the changes in Tom's life went beyond the car. At the diner, his boss noticed the difference too. "Tom, you're doing good work," his boss said one day. "If you want, I can give you more hours." More hours meant more money and a chance to save faster. Tom felt grateful but also nervous. Could he handle the extra work? He knew he had to try. At night, Tom's small apartment felt different. It was quiet, but now it was filled with hope. He kept a photo of the car on his desk and a small notebook where he wrote down his dreams and plans. For the first time in a long time, Tom believed that a better life was possible. One evening, as the sun set, Tom and Mary sat by the car, drinking coffee from old mugs. The air was cool and the city lights twinkled in the distance. "You've come a long way, Tom," Mary said softly. "How do you feel?" Tom thought for a moment. "I feel hopeful. Before I didn't think I could do much. But now I believe I can change things," Mary smiled. "That's the most important step, believing in yourself." Their friendship had grown deeper, built on trust and shared dreams. They talked about the future, about the car, and about what might come next. Tom admitted he still had fears. What if the car never started? What if he failed? Mary listened and reminded him that everyone feels scared sometimes. What mattered was trying, no matter what. One day, a problem came that shook Tom's new hope. The car's engine had a big issue, something that Tom didn't know how to fix. He felt stuck, helpless. The tools and parts he had were not enough. Tom sat by the car, head in his hands, feeling the weight of failure. "Maybe I'm not good enough," he whispered. Mary found him there and sat beside him. "No, Tom," she said gently. "This is just a step. When something is hard, it means you're close to something good. Don't give up." Tom looked at her and saw the belief in her eyes. It made him want to try again. Mary had an idea. She introduced Tom to a mechanic she knew, a man named David who loved old cars. David agreed to help, seeing Tom's hard work and determination. With David's help, Tom learned how to fix the complicated engine problem. The work was tough, but together they made progress. This experience taught Tom something important. It's okay to ask for help. No one achieves their dreams alone. Weeks passed. Slowly but surely, the car began to look alive. Its body shone after cleaning. The engine purred quietly and the tires rolled smoothly. Tom's heart swelled with pride every time he looked at it. One afternoon, as Tom polished the last scratches on the car door, Mary came with good news. "There's a classic car show next month," she said excitedly. "I think your car should be there." Tom laughed nervously. "Me at a show? I don't know if it's ready." Mary smiled brightly. "It will be. You deserve this." Tom felt a mix of excitement and fear. The car show was a big step, but he wanted to believe in himself. The car was no longer just a broken machine on the street. It was a symbol of what could happen when someone believed in you, when you worked hard, and when you refused to give up. Tom's life was changing. The impossible was becoming real. The classic car show was only days away, and Tom could hardly believe it. The old broken car he once thought was impossible to fix was now almost ready to be shown in front of a crowd. He often caught himself staring at it, amazed by how much it had changed. The car was shining under the sunlight, its engine running smoothly and its body polished to a soft glow. But for Tom, the car was more than just a project. It had become a symbol of everything he had been through: the hard work, the doubts, the hope, and the kindness of people like Mary and Joe. It was a reminder that even the most broken things could be made whole again, with care and patience. Mary stopped by that morning, carrying a small box of supplies for the car. She smiled as she looked at Tom working under the hood. "You're doing great," she said. "Are you ready for the show?" Tom wiped the sweat from his forehead and laughed nervously. "I think so, but I'm still scared. What if something goes wrong?" Mary sat beside him and looked into his eyes. "It's okay to be scared. But remember, it's not just about the car. It's about the journey you took to get here. You've already won." Tom felt a warmth in his chest. Her words made the fear feel smaller, less important. The day of the car show arrived with clear blue skies and a soft breeze. Tom drove the car slowly through the streets, the engine humming with life. The feeling of sitting behind the wheel was something he never thought he would experience. He felt proud, happy, and a little nervous all at once. At the show, rows of classic cars gleamed under the sun. Owners smiled proudly as visitors walked around admiring the vehicles. Tom parked his car carefully and stepped out. He looked around and felt a little out of place. The other cars were perfect, shining, and polished to the highest standard. His car still had some scratches, and it was clear it had been through a lot. But then he saw Mary waving at him from across the lot, her smile wide and encouraging. He took a deep breath and reminded himself why he was here. People began to notice the car. They stopped, looked closely, and asked questions. Tom told the story of the car, how it had been broken and forgotten, and how he had worked hard to bring it back to life. The visitors listened with interest and smiled at his honesty. One woman said, "This car has a soul. It's clear someone cared deeply for it." Tom smiled, feeling a new kind of pride. This car wasn't perfect, but it was real. It carried a story of hope and change. As the day went on, Tom met many people. Some shared their own stories of hard times and dreams. Others gave advice or offered help. It felt like the beginning of something new. Mary stayed close by, proud and happy to see Tom shining. She knew this day was more than a car show for him. It was a step into a new life. After the event, Tom and Mary walked back to the car. The sun was setting, painting the sky with pink and gold. "Thank you," Tom said quietly, "for everything. You didn't just help me fix the car. You helped me find myself again." Mary looked at him warmly. "You found yourself, Tom. I only helped you see it." Tom smiled, feeling a peace he hadn't known before. The car was still important, but now he realized the real gift was the love and belief Mary had given him. In the days that followed, Tom's life continued to change. He felt more confident at work and began saving money to open a small garage. He even started helping his neighbors with their car problems, sharing what he had learned. One afternoon, Joe came by with a surprise. He handed Tom an old book about car repair and a set of professional tools. "Keep learning, Tom," Joe said. "You have a bright future." Tom felt grateful. Every act of kindness had added up, building a new life brick by brick. Mary and Tom continued to work on new projects, fixing old cars and helping others. Their friendship grew deeper, full of trust and respect. One evening, as they sat watching the city lights, Mary said, "You've come so far. Tom, I'm proud of you." Tom looked at her, feeling a happiness he never expected. "I couldn't have done it without you." Mary smiled softly. "You did the hard work. I just helped." Tom realized then that the car was not just a machine, it was a symbol of hope, love, and second chances. It reminded him that no matter how impossible life seemed, kindness and belief could change everything. And for Tom, the impossible was no longer impossible. Tom had come a long way since the days when the old car sat broken and forgotten by the sidewalk. Now he had not only fixed the car, but also found a new purpose in life. His confidence had grown, and with Mary and Joe's support, he felt ready to take on whatever came next. But life, as always, was full of surprises. One bright morning, Tom opened the small garage he had dreamed of for years. It was a modest place with worn-out walls and a few tools, but it was his. A place where he could work on cars, help people, and build a better future. He had saved carefully and used what he learned from Joe and Mary to make the garage a reality. The first customers came slowly, neighbors and friends who needed small repairs. Tom greeted them with a warm smile and worked carefully on every car. Word spread, and more people came to the little garage, trusting Tom with their vehicles. Mary often visited, bringing coffee and encouragement. She was proud of Tom's hard work and determination. "Look at you," she said one day, watching Tom fix an old truck. "You're making your dream real." Tom laughed, wiping his hands on a rag. "It's not easy, but it feels right." Even on the hard days when work was slow or problems seemed too big, Tom remembered the journey that had brought him here. He thought about the broken car that started it all and the kindness that had changed his life. One afternoon, as Tom worked under the hood of a car, a stranger walked into the garage. She was a woman in her late 30s with kind eyes and a gentle smile. "Hi," she said softly. "I heard about you from a friend. I need some help with my car." Tom looked up, welcoming her. "Of course. What seems to be the problem?" The woman explained that her car had been acting strange, and she was worried it might break down. Tom listened carefully and promised to take a look. As he worked, the woman watched quietly. Her name was Laura, and she lived a few blocks away. She told Tom about her life, how she worked long hours at a nearby hospital and struggled to balance everything. Tom understood. Life wasn't easy for many people, but he felt grateful to be in a place where he could help. After a few hours, Tom fixed the problem. The car ran smoothly again. Laura smiled, relieved. "Thank you, Tom, you're a lifesaver." Tom felt a warmth inside. Helping others was the best feeling he had ever known. Over the next few weeks, Laura became a regular visitor. She brought Tom homemade cookies, and they shared stories about their lives. Tom found himself looking forward to her visits, enjoying the simple comfort of friendship. One evening, Laura said, "You've changed a lot since I met you. You have something special." Tom smiled shyly. "I've had help from some wonderful people." Laura nodded. "You deserve it." As the days passed, Tom realized that his life was fuller than he ever imagined. The garage was busy, his friends were kind, and the future looked bright. But change was not always easy. One night, Tom received a phone call from his old boss at the diner. "We're closing next month," the voice said sadly. "I wanted to let you know." Tom felt a shock. The diner had been a place of struggle, but also a place of comfort. Losing the job meant uncertainty. He shared the news with Mary, who listened carefully. "This is hard, Tom, but maybe it's also an opportunity." Tom thought about her words. The diner was closing, but the garage was growing. Maybe it was time to take a new step. With Mary's encouragement, Tom began to focus more on the garage. He worked longer hours and started planning to expand. One day, Joe stopped by with an idea. "There's a city program that helps small businesses," Joe said. "I think you should apply." Tom was nervous. The idea of dealing with paperwork and meetings was new to him. But Joe promised to help. Together, they prepared an application, sharing the story of the broken car and the little garage that grew from hope and kindness. Weeks later, Tom received news that the city approved his application. They would give him a grant to help improve the garage and buy better equipment. Tom was overwhelmed with gratitude. He called Mary and Joe to share the good news. "We did it," he said, smiling through tears. "This is just the beginning." Mary laughed happily. "I always believed in you." The grant meant Tom could hire an assistant, buy new tools, and make the garage a better place for the community. He dreamed of helping even more people and maybe one day, teaching others who wanted to learn about cars. One evening, as Tom closed the garage, he looked at the old car parked nearby. It was still a symbol of his journey, of how impossible dreams could come true. Mary joined him, standing quietly beside the car. "Do you remember the first day you found it?" she asked. Tom nodded. "It seemed impossible then," Mary smiled. "And now?" "Now it's a new life." They stood together in the fading light, knowing that the road ahead was full of promise. Tom's heart was full of hope, love, and a deep belief that with kindness and hard work, anything was possible. The sun was rising over the city, casting a golden light on the small garage where Tom worked. It had been a year since he had first started fixing the old car, and a lot had changed in his life. The garage was busy. The neighborhood had begun to notice Tom's hard work. And most importantly, Tom had found something he never thought possible, a sense of belonging and hope. Tom stood by the old car, now fully restored and shining as brightly as any car at the show. It was no longer just a machine. It was a symbol of his journey, from feeling lost and alone to finding friendship, kindness, and a new purpose. Mary was with him, as she had been almost every day since they met. Her support had never wavered. Together they had created something real, something that gave life meaning. One afternoon, as they worked side by side on another project, Mary smiled and said, "You know, Tom, this garage is more than just a place to fix cars. It's a place where people find hope." Tom nodded. "That's what I want it to be. A place where people can come no matter who they are or where they come from and feel welcome." Mary's eyes brightened. "You're doing that every day." Tom looked around the garage. The walls were lined with tools and pictures of the old car's restoration journey. A small bookshelf held books about cars and life lessons. There was a comfortable chair by the window, where customers could wait and talk. It was more than just a garage. It was a community. One day, Tom received a letter from the city. It was an invitation to speak at a local event about his journey and how the community helped him. At first, Tom felt nervous. Speaking in front of people was not easy, but Mary encouraged him. "This is your story," she said, "and it can inspire others." With her help, Tom prepared his speech. He wanted to share not just about fixing cars, but about fixing lives and finding hope in unexpected places. The day of the event arrived, and Tom stood in front of a small crowd in a community hall. He spoke honestly about the struggles he faced, the loss, the hard work, the moments when he wanted to give up. But mostly, he spoke about the kindness of people like Mary and Joe, and how believing in someone can change everything. After his speech, many people came to talk to him, sharing their own stories and thanking him for being brave enough to share. Tom felt proud and grateful. For the first time, he realized that his journey had meaning beyond himself. He was helping others find hope too. Back at the garage, Tom continued to grow his business. He hired an assistant, a young man named Ben who was eager to learn. Tom enjoyed teaching him, passing on the skills and lessons he had learned. One evening, as the sun set, Mary and Tom sat outside the garage, watching the city lights twinkle. "Do you ever think about how far you've come?" Mary asked. Tom smiled. "Every day. Sometimes it feels like a dream." Mary laughed. "It's not a dream. It's your life." Tom looked at her, feeling grateful. "Thank you for believing in me when no one else did." Mary reached out and squeezed his hand. "You believed in yourself too. I just helped you see it." Tom thought about the old car, now parked safely inside the garage. It had brought him hope when he needed it most. But it was the people around him, the kindness, the friendship, and the belief that had truly changed his life. The impossible had become possible. As the stars appeared in the sky, Tom felt ready for whatever came next. Life was a journey, full of twists and turns, but now he knew he was not alone. With hope in his heart and friends by his side, Tom's story was just beginning.